Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing attachment styles. I provide audio coaching to help people try and get their ex back or get a new girlfriend or boyfriend. Check out my website for more details, www.dateme.tips. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing attachment styles. Attachment styles are the patterns of behaviours, emotions and thoughts that we develop as a result of our early experiences with caregivers. For most people, this will be our parents. In later life, these attachment styles showcase themselves within platonic and romantic relationships. In today's podcast, I'll be focusing on the three most common attachment styles. There are more than this, and there can also be crossovers, but I will be concentrating on the generalized attachment styles that you are most likely to have. So let's get straight into this, and point number one is the secure attachment style. The secure attachment style is considered the healthiest and most adaptive attachment style. People with secure attachment style have positive beliefs about themselves and others. They trust that others will be there for them when they need them and believe that they are worthy of love and care. Securely attached individuals are comfortable with intimacy and closeness, and they are able to express their emotions openly and honestly. They have a positive view of themselves and others and are able to maintain healthy, fulfilling relationships. People with a secure attachment style feel comfortable relying on others for emotional support, and they also don't feel the need to constantly push others away or keep them at arm's length. They trust that their partners will be there for them when they need them, and they are willing to ask for help when and if they need it. Secondly, secure individuals are able to express their emotions in a healthy way. They are not afraid to be vulnerable and share their feelings with their partners. They are able to communicate openly and honestly, which helps them build strong and lasting relationships. Thirdly, people with a secure attachment style have positive beliefs about themselves and others. They don't feel that they need to prove themselves or constantly seek validation from others. They have a healthy sense of self-worth and are able to recognize their own strengths and weaknesses. Finally, secure individuals are able to maintain healthy boundaries in their relationships. They are able to balance their own needs with the needs of their partners, and they don't feel like they need to sacrifice their own well-being to make others happy. So how can we develop a secure attachment style? Well, the good news is that attachment styles are not set in stone. With self-awareness and effort, we can learn to develop a more secure attachment style. This is the ideal place to be. Some strategies for developing a secure attachment style include working on your self-esteem and self-worth, practicing open and honest communication, setting and respecting healthy boundaries, and seeking support from friends and family. In conclusion, the secure attachment style is characterized by trust, intimacy, and a positive view of oneself and others. It is the healthiest and most adaptive attachment style, and it is possible to develop a more secure attachment with effort and self-awareness. If you would like help with developing a secure attachment style, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique situations and problems. I become your coach and your teammate through your journey to become a better version of yourself and somebody who has an increased opportunity of attracting the person of their dreams, whether or not this is trying to get an ex back or whether or not this is trying to attract somebody new to your life. So now let's get into point number two and the second point of today's podcast about attachment styles. And point number two is the anxious attachment style. So the anxious attachment style is one of the main attachment styles, and this might be the attachment style that you connect with the most. You might hear what I'm about to say and believe that you are somebody who has an anxious style. So let's get into the specifics. Individuals with an anxious attachment style tend to have negative beliefs about themselves and positive beliefs about others. So that's really crucial for you to differentiate these specifics. They often worry that their partners will leave them or reject them, and they may struggle with feelings of insecurity and self-doubt. People with an anxious attachment style tend to feel insecure and uncertain in their relationships. They may worry that their partners don't love them as much as they love their partners, or that their partners will leave them for somebody else. This can cause them to seek constant reassurance and validation from their partners. Let me know in the YouTube comments if you believe that any of this is resonating with you, or for what I'm about to speak later on in today's podcast. Secondly, individuals with an anxious attachment style may struggle with emotional regulation. They may experience intense emotions such as anxiety, fear, and jealousy, and have difficulty managing these emotions in a healthy way. They may also struggle with boundaries and may have a hard time distinguishing between their own emotions and the emotions of their partners. Thirdly, people with an anxious attachment style may have a tendency to cling on to their partners. They may be overly dependent on their partners for emotional support and may struggle to function independently. This can put a huge strain on the relationship and may lead to feelings of resentment and frustration from their partners. This is something to really focus on, because I would suggest that resentment is one of the main causes of a relationship breaking down. Finally, individuals with an anxious attachment style may struggle with communication within their relationships. They may have a hard time expressing their needs and desires in a clear and direct way, which can lead to misunderstandings and conflicts. So how can we cope with an anxious attachment style? Well, the good news is that with awareness and effort, it is possible to develop a more secure attachment style. Some strategies for coping with an anxious attachment style include practicing self-compassion and self-care, learning healthy emotional regulation skills, setting and respecting healthy boundaries, and seeking talk therapy such as my audio coaching service. In conclusion, the anxious attachment style is characterized by insecurity, emotional dysregulation, dependency, and communication difficulties. However, with self-awareness and effort, it is possible to develop a more secure attachment style and cultivate healthier relationships. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about attachment styles. And point number 3 is the avoidant attachment style. And this is characterized by a tendency to avoid emotional closeness and intimacy in relationships. Individuals with an avoidant attachment style may appear emotionally distant, self-reliant, and overly independent. They tend to have negative beliefs about others and positive beliefs about themselves, and that is a huge differential between the avoidant attachment style and the anxious attachment style. Avoidants may also view relationships as a source of stress or frustration rather than comfort and security. People with an avoidant attachment style tend to avoid emotional closeness and intimacy within relationships. They may feel uncomfortable with emotional expression and vulnerability and may keep their emotions hidden from their partners. Secondly, individuals with an avoidant attachment style may struggle with commitment in relationships. They may be hesitant to make long-term plans or commitments and may prefer to keep their options open. Not everybody who feels this way is an avoidant. There can be other aspects regarding relationship dynamics that can make somebody feel this way. One such reason is if you are a younger person. If you're somebody between the ages of 18 to 25 or so, I would say that this could be your situation. You could be somebody who does not want to commit long term, but this doesn't necessarily mean you are an avoidant. It might just mean that you want to live your life in a way where you explore all of your options and possibilities. The third element regarding people that have an avoidant attachment style is that people with an avoidant style may be self-reliant and independent to the point of isolation. They may have a hard time relying on others for emotional support and may prefer to handle their problems on their own. Finally, individuals with an avoidant attachment style may have a tendency to dismiss the needs and emotions of their partners. They may have a hard time empathizing with their partner's feelings and may be more focused on their own needs and desires. So how can we cope with an avoidant attachment style? Well, once again, the good news is that with awareness and effort, it is possible to develop a more secure attachment style. Some strategies for coping with an avoidant attachment style include practicing emotional regulation skills, learning to recognize and express emotions in a healthy way, working on communication skills to express needs and desires clearly, and also seeking support from someone such as myself. In conclusion, the avoidant attachment style is characterized by a tendency to avoid emotional closeness, self-reliance, and a focus on personal needs and desires over those of their partners. However, with effort and self-awareness, it is possible to develop that ideal, the more secure attachment style, and cultivate healthier relationships. Now, if you've listened all the way through today's podcast, let me know in YouTube comments which of these attachment styles you believe best fits yourself. Like I said at the beginning, there are more attachment styles, there are crossovers, but these are the generalized main 3 attachment styles. So let me know in the comments which of these attachment styles you feel best fits yourself and how you can move forward to get closer to that secure position. If you believe you are already secure, then that is fantastic, but you can't rest on your laurels. You need to keep working on yourself, staying self-aware, and living a positive life. Whatever your position is right now, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're single, whether you want to try to get your ex back, whether you want to try to meet somebody even better, you can and will find better connections if you have a more secure attachment style. It's very, very important that you get as close to the perfect attachment style as possible. And additionally to this, it's important that you seek that in a partner, because if you find a relationship with somebody who is very avoidant or is somebody who is very anxious, you're going to have a very challenging time of things. I'm not saying don't continue within those relationships, but what I am saying is it's going to be much easier for you to move forward if your partner is also secure. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.